Coffee Hour. I'm Sarah Gulseth. It is Wednesday, August 21st. I checked my phone right before I turned my mic on so I could tell you what day it was, since I don't know without Andy here. Andy is still on vacation. He should be back tomorrow in the studio. He's off learning about hymns and hymnody and congregational singing, all things that we love to talk about here on the Coffee Hour. So we'll have to get a little recap from him when he comes back. We have some great discussions today. We talk a lot about loving our neighbors and what that actually means in a practical sense when we're out living our Christian vocations in the world. So first, we get to talk about an upcoming fall Lay Bible Institute at Concordia Seminary here in St. Louis about loving our Muslim neighbors and what it means to talk to them about Jesus. And then coming up in the second half, we get to check in with our friends at Humanitry about some really exciting things that have happened lately. If you've been following them on Facebook, there's been some really inspiring stories that have happened over there at Humanitry, loving their neighbors in very practical ways. So that conversation will come up in the second half. Thanks to Concordia University, Wisconsin for your support of the Coffee Hour. You can find out more about them at csl.edu. Live Uncommon. Joining me in studio today is the Reverend Dr. Abjar Bahkou, Associate Professor of Practical Theology at Concordia Seminary in St. Louis. Thanks for joining me in the studio today.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, good to see you. I know last time we had you on the Coffee Hour, we had you over the phone, so it's good to have you in studio. And Andy's not here to say hi to you, but I'm sure he would also be happy to see you in person. Mm-hmm. So there's a upcoming fall Lay Bible Institute at Concordia Seminary in St. Louis, talking about Jesus in Islam, how we can talk about Jesus to our Muslim neighbors. First, I'm curious about your background. Your association with Arabic and with the Muslim faith. I know we were talking before we came on air. You have an extensive background, which is very interesting for me.
Yeah. Well, good morning. It's an honor to be here. And I always share my story. I grew up in Syria, and Syria is 90% Muslim, and that around 10%, and the population is diminishing after the civil war. Now they are talking about maybe 6% or 4% and 6% Christian. But I grew up in that environment, living in with Muslim, interacting with them on a daily basis. And I always like to share this story that I spent my teenage year in Damascus, cross street from the Church of Ananias, where Paul was baptized.
Wow.
So that's where I spent my teenage year, because I enrolled at the St. Ephrem Theological Seminary in the Syrian Orthodox Church, which is like the boarding school. They prepare male for clergy. So you go there, it's a boarding school, you study, and then you get prepared to be ordained in the Syrian Orthodox Church. And so that's how I grew up, cross street from the Church of Ananias. But then you go a mile from there, you will see the Umayyad Mosque also. So going on a daily basis, we would interact with them and live with them and building bridges with them. My study in 1993, I was sent also by the Patriarchate before I became Lutheran to study in Rome through a collaboration between the Orthodox churches and the Vatican. This program started after the Vatican II. So through this program, I was there, full scholarship from the Vatican, to study there and live with the community, the Salesian order. I lived there and I studied at their university. I spent almost 6 years there doing my master's and my PhD in Christian education and youth ministry. And my focus was on the Christian youth in the Middle East. So developing a project of Christian education for the Arab Christian who are living in an interfaith, in a Muslim dominant. So what do we learn from this? In 1999, I came to United States also. I never thought to come, but I was sent by the church to California, and I started to serve the community there. In 2005, I don't want to lose the whole 15 minutes talking about myself, just a few snapshots, So in 2004, I left California. I moved to Texas, and there I was encouraged to pursue another doctorate. So I started to engage in an academic study of Islam. Up to that point, I was not engaging in academically. So I began a study of Islam, and I did a second master's with also presidential scholarship from Southwestern Seminary in Fort Worth, master's in Muslim evangelism, and then I pursued also a doctorate in Arabic and Islamic studies. During that time, in 2005, I started to hang around with a bunch of Lutheran, and I started to study Lutheran theology and Luther life, and I loved the theology, and I loved the journey of Martin Luther, because I can relate to him. He was a monk, and he got this experience. The God who loves and justifies the sinner without any work of the law. I always like to use this phrase, the sweetness of the gospel. So through that experience, I tested the sweetness of the gospel, as Martin Luther said. And I started to pursue, since that time, working with Lutheran, helping them, translating a lot of Lutheran hymns, and worship in Arabic, and in interacting and reaching out Arabs, Christian and Muslim, in the DFW area. And I ended up planting the first Arabic-speaking congregation in the state of Texas, Antiochian Apostolic Church. I'm being certified, I was already ordained in a different synod, and with 2 PhDs, they did not ask me to go through another loop and doing another 2 years of Lutheran theology. And so I remember in August of 2012, I came to this center here, International Center, and I went through colloquy, and they decided that I don't need to do any study. I have done enough study in my life. So they certify me as a Lutheran pastor, and I continue to serve. We chartered also the church as a first Arabic speaking congregation. 2 years later, the church expanded. We started to expand our ministry, doing media. I do a lot of media ministry, also publication. We published the first discipleship program just a couple of years ago based on Luther Catechism. I call it Love with God. And that's a discipleship part specifically addressed to Arab Christian and Muslim also. Coming from this both background, I see their question and I posted that. So it's like Luther Catechism, but contextualized for the Arabic culture. And I'm now working on developing more like a media program to be broadcasted on different international Arabic Christian channels. There is over maybe 8 channels here in the United States that are broadcasting 24 hours discipling Muslim in the Middle East. So I do a lot of ministry with these channels also. So the ministry expanded, and we decided to move it from a mission church to a mission society. So we called it Arabic Lutheran Ministry. And just before coming here, we submitted our application to RSO. Hopefully they will not give us hard time until we approve us. So that's where I am. Last year I got the seminary, because I was coming for the last 4 years teaching courses, summer courses on Islam. And they approached me in 2017 wanting to issue a full-time call to me. Of course, before in Texas, beside my work, I was full-time professor at Baylor University. I was senior lecturer in Arabic language and culture. So we moved. This is my second year here at the seminary.
Yeah.
So last year they approached me. They said, we want you to do this Lay Bible Institute. So I gave them 2 or 3 suggested title, and they said, Jesus in Islam. This is perfect.
That'll catch people's attention.
So
yeah. We have just a couple of minutes left. So what will people learn in this institute? Give us a quick, about a minute rundown of what people can learn when they come to this Fall Bible Institute.
Yeah, it is, and I'm going just to read one verse from 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 18. Paul says, "For the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God." And then in verse 22, he said, "Jew demand sign sad, a Greek look for wisdom, but we preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block to Jew and foolishness to Gentile." I always said if Paul would have written this in the 8th century or 7th century, he would add to Muslim also. It is a kufr, it is a blasphemy for Muslim also. And I think this is what the dividing point between Islam and Christianity. The Quran speaks highly of Jesus. There are over 90 verses that speak of Jesus as a miracle worker, etc., and a lot of good things. But when it comes to, as Peter also instructed, to the reason of our hope, which is Jesus died on the cross on our behalf, he was raised, and he is lifted up in heaven. That's the reason of our hope. It's blasphemy for them. They said they did not kill him, they did not crucify him. It was appeared to them. So through this seminar, we are going to read the story of Jesus in the Quran, and we will put it in its historical context. Where did the Quran and the writer of the Quran got these stories? And did really the Quran got the right message, the right Jesus? And then what is the gospel Jesus? And how do we share the gospel Jesus with the Muslim who have a completely different view about the person of Jesus? How do we build these bridges? How do we speak to them in a loving and a respectful way? So we will learn a lot of knowledge head, but also heart. How do we build relational evangelism with Muslim, yet at the same time present without compromising the reason of our hope, which is, just like Paul said, we preach Christ crucified. So which is, I would add, maybe a blasphemy for Muslim.
So. Yeah. Oh man, we could talk about this for hours. But you can come and hear about this for hours on Saturday, October 5th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Concordia Seminary. Registration deadline is September 20th, so you got a little bit of time to register. But this is a fascinating topic. I have a lot of personal interest in this, so I might actually sign up for this one. Saturday, October 5th, you can find out registration details on Concordia Seminary's website. We'll put a link for that in our show notes, but we are all out of time at this point. So, Dr. Bahkou, thank you so much for joining me in studio today, and hope to see you around again.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. You're listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Sarah Golseth. More conversations coming up next.